What up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Shinobi Squad podcast. I'm fan service Renji,
I'm Shana Mostella.
and welcome to our temporary setup in the Midwest.
Yes. Oh, I slapped my cat in the background.
We are still unpacking our lives. There's stuff everywhere. It was a struggle to just gather all the podcast stuff
Oh, yeah.
and put it in one room. This isn't the most nicest looking room, but this is all we got for now because we're still trying to figure out where things are going. So yeah, I mean, most of you guys don't even watch the video anyway. You all just turn it on. So just pretend there's a pretty background behind us.
We haven't had much time to decorate.
No, we've only been here for a couple days after spending 4 gruesome days driving across the country. Some of y'all may have noticed we didn't drop an episode last week. That was due to just the hectic moving schedule. It's rough driving from Los Angeles all the way to the Midwest in the winter.
We've done it before, going out to Los Angeles, but coming back during the snow, storms, and all kinds of things going on. We've never done that before.
It's one thing to leave in June,
Yeah.
leave sunny weather and arrive in sunny weather, but it's different to leave beautiful 75 degrees LA in December and then hit a snowstorm along the way.
Yep.
We've driven in snow before. We spent most of our lives in the Midwest, so the snow's not a big deal, but it hits just a little bit different when you have your life's belongings and your cats and everything you own in the car. Plus, we had one of our friends fly out to help drive the other car, so I'm nervous about him driving my car. He's from Chicago. He's a public transit guy, so that kind of makes you nervous too. Like, does he know how to drive a car?
And it was also making me nervous because the other car isn't so adaptable to the snow. So I'm thinking he's going to slide off the road and we're going to have to stop for a couple hours.
And a couple hours with cats in your car and everything you own, or at least all the valuables, that's nerve-wracking.
All of the seconds and minutes adds up, and it's very detrimental to the trip itself. So there was no stopping. There was no, if he was going to go off the road, we were going to keep going.
Yeah.
Or at least try to, you know.
Yeah. For those that don't know, roughly if you drive from LA to Chicago, it is 35 hours of driving. Well, the original plan was 3 days and 2 nights. Well, that ended up being 4 days and 3 nights because of snowstorm. We just got to a point where the snowstorm hit so bad that we just had to stop for the night.
Yeah.
So that's why we missed last week's episode. We had it filmed. We just didn't have time to edit it just because last minute packing just takes forever. Here we are. We have finally made it in our temporary setup. So let's begin with today's podcast. By the time y'all hear this, 2021 has begun. I'm sure many of y'all were looking forward to 2020 being over. Had to be one of the shittiest years in modern times for America, at least, if not the world. Of course, if any group of people could start 2021 off with a shitty bang and leave a sour taste in your mouth, it's those gosh darn Trump terrorists.
Oh, yeah.
If for some reason you haven't heard by now, the Trump terrorist group stormed the Capitol. Like, they literally broke through the barricades, ran in the Capitol building in Washington, D.C., took selfies with all the stuff in there, breaking into politicians' offices, putting their feet up on the desk, and just having a grand old time.
And the best part, there was almost zero police resistance.
It's like they sent these terrorists an invitation, like, come on down and take selfies in the Capitol building.
You could clearly see the security with their guns in hand, just off to the side, watching this whole debacle go on, and did nothing. Absolutely nothing.
It's like they didn't even have weapons, just how they stood there so lackluster.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, you think back to all the Black Lives Matters protests.
Yep. Peaceful
Protests. People weren't even near the buildings they were protecting. National Guard, armed forces, like SWAT teams were called out. The protesters weren't even close to the buildings and armed guards were ready. Yet we take it back to the Trump terrorist act that happened this week or last week. These people were violent, loud, and they were committing all kinds of crimes, but yet they just got to skate by. But anyways, I'm not trying to talk about politics too much. I'm sure y'all sick of hearing about that, but that's how 2021 has started. Don't be surprised if these Trump terrorists, not going to even call them Trump supporters because they're terrorists. there is a difference between someone just being a supporter, but someone being an extreme supporter to where they're becoming terrorists.
Mm-hmm.
So let's call them what they are. Sad to say, I do have friends that are Trump supporters. I'm not going to totally knock them for their political choice, but I do see them not raiding Capitol buildings and causing that kind of havoc. So it would be an insult to call them terrorists because obviously they're just supporters, but then these assholes are clearly terrorists. And yes, I've said the word terrorist a million times because people need to get that shit through their head. What they're doing is exactly what terrorists do. These people are domestic terrorists.
Oh, yeah.
Prepare yourself. There's more of that dumb shit to come from these people. So just be ready for it. Just don't get caught up in the storm when they come to your town. At the very least, when it comes to these Trump terrorists, some sort of justice is slowly rolling out. People are slowly being arrested. These people were stupid enough to take selfies of the crimes they committed.
Mm-hmm.
They were also stupid enough to post it on social media, just like the internet does, found out exactly who these people were, started posting up their real names. A lot of them started getting fired. Some of them have even been arrested, but just not fast enough. The FBI put out something on their social media asking for people to help identify these domestic terrorists. You can literally just go to this one Twitter. I forgot the name of it, but there's a Twitter account that is posting every person that's being identified, and they literally have hundreds of people from this Capitol building rioting.
Good.
Their names, as much information they can find. If the FBI really wanted to arrest all these people, they could just go to that Twitter account. You're telling me they can find out anything about any rapper they want, but they can't find these hundreds of thousands of terrorists that have their stuff online? That's bullcrap.
I did see the picture, the infamous picture of the dude sitting on the desk with his feet up and everything. That guy specifically is getting his jail time. So I'm glad they at least did that. But they're going to find everybody else who thought it was cute to storm the Capitol and think that nobody's going to shoot them and they're not going to get any repercussions. Okay, I got you. I will give them a month for them to find everybody and lock them all up.
I hope so. The internet is already finding them right now.
Oh, yeah.
The law enforcement just have to step in and actually do something about it. Another sense of justice, I'm glad the airlines and the airports are taking a step forward. They're putting these assholes on the no-fly list. I woke up this morning to one of these Trump terrorists trying to board a flight, but he got kicked off because when he scanned his ticket, it said he was on the no-fly list for being a terrorist.
Oh, damn.
This dude's crying in the terminal. These people are kicking me off the plane. They said I'm a terrorist. Why are they ruining my life? Boo-hoo.
Boo-hoo. Oh, let me shed a single tear for you.
Well, maybe you can use those tears to wipe the dirt off your truck so people can see those 20 Trump stickers on there. That's what you get. Play stupid games,
win stupid prizes.
You won first-class tickets on the no-fly list. A few of them are getting knocked down one by one. I just can't wait to see more of these videos of people on the no-fly list just crying their heart out.
Oh, yeah.
What were you thinking? You think you were going to raid the Capitol building and then take selfies? Come on. Just when you thought rappers snitching on themselves by confessing to their crimes in their songs wasn't stupid enough, this takes stupid self-incrimination to a whole new level.
I'm thinking it's more like them using their privilege to their own advantage because of everything that went on in 2020.
Oh, yeah.
All the Black Lives Matter riots, everybody peacefully protesting about that and getting locked up and getting shot and getting killed and things like that. And then I'm thinking from, I guess, like devil's advocate standpoint, like they're taking all of that and running with it. It's like, oh, well, they're not going to shoot us. Oh, Black Lives Matter. Well, all lives matter. And they're just doing it because they can.
They definitely just thinking they can do whatever they want. That's all it comes down to. What's also funny about that, too, is there were people wearing Blue Lives Matter shirts getting arrested by the same Blue Lives that matter.
Oh, my God.
The irony. Blue Lives Matter, and now these blue lives are arresting you. Stupid asses.
Well, at least they believe in something.
Yeah. Right? Anyways, enough about the Trump terrorists. We're going to hear more about them in the weeks to come. They're already plotting all new shit. It's already all over social media. As I said, when those trucks with those stickers come to your town and those 16 flags hang out, just do yourself a favor and just stay out of their way.
Oh, yeah.
Let them be stupid on their own. Don't give them any reason to cause a fight with the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
With that said, 2020 has been a challenging year for a lot of people. There was definitely a lot of bad. There's no denying that. There's definitely a lot of terrible things that happened. But within a lot of the negativity, the positives were a lot of things that came to light, such as the inequality. Everything is right up there, right in everyone's faces. Like, there's no denying that there's a clear problem with the way our society's set up, the rich versus the poor, the have and the have-nots. That can go into how poorly our government handles things. As you see now, what was it, New Zealand?
Mm-hmm.
They're like COVID-free, having festivals and concerts,
Mm-hmm.
while we're on the same wave. I don't even want to call it the second wave of COVID. It's still the same freaking wave. It's still round one of COVID because we never got rid of it.
Yep.
Anyways, I don't want to talk too much about the general terribleness of 2020, but I want to more focus on some of the positive things that's happened, at least for us. I know it's hard for a lot of people to find the positives in this, but if you really think about it, I'm sure there's something. Like, I heard a lot of my friends that have kids. Yeah, their work got reduced or their kids had to homeschool or whatnot, but they use this time to bond with their family.
Mm-hmm.
I had friends that learned things about their kids that they never knew, and their kids like 5, 6 years old. Like, how do you not know something about your kid? I didn't know my kid liked fire trucks. With that said, what's a big thing that 2020 took away from you, but then what was the positive that came out of it?
The big thing that 2020 took away from me was losing my day job, my full-time day job that paid me way more than I've ever been paid ever in my life. It went along with the whole mindset of me sticking to a plan, and I had a goal in mind. I was working there to save enough money to do bigger things with my life. That went hand in hand with what I was going for, what I was shooting for, what I really wanted to do in life. But then after losing my job, it was more like, okay, now I just need to survive. But when that happened, I guess the good thing that came out of it was the fact that it made me rethink my goals and rethink what I really wanted out of life. And it really did. It was like a blessing in disguise, where something that I was using to, be responsible, like stay on track and things like that, turned into something that forced me to survive and forced me to do new and better things. And I couldn't be happier now. But I wouldn't have known that or have done those things had me losing my job not happened.
Without saying exactly where you worked or what you did, what kind of job did you have, or what level were you at? Because for the people listening, it could be as, yeah, I lost my minimum wage job. Well, big deal that
Yeah.
you lost your crappy job, or you lost a really good job. So these details matter.
Well, when I was working full time, just for as a day job, I got promoted within that same company. So it went from me doing grueling work to me being the manager of my domain. They paid me more for doing that. I had my own office. I was away from everybody.
Yeah.
I had no one to micromanage me. I had no one over my shoulder. I was pretty much on my own all day. I had the best shift. I was working first shift, 5 a.m. to 1:30, so the rest of my day was free.
Oh, you beat all that LA traffic.
Yeah, I had a perfect setup because I am someone who's creative, someone who makes costumes. I stream, I do all kinds of creative things. So that kind of schedule helped me out a lot. I had it set up. I had it made, and I was making a lot of money doing it.
So it actually was a job that was kind of sad to lose.
Yeah, it was, because if I'm like the poster child to hating day job life, I hate it so much because I hate having an overseer. I hate having schedules that can change at a drop of a hat. Like, I worked first shift, but there are times where I had to come in when I didn't even know I had to come in, stuff like that. So if I had to have any job, this would have been it. And losing that just took me out of that that element. It was
Yeah.
like losing something that I had worked so hard to get,
Yeah.
and now here I am. But it also forced me to do something that I haven't really paid much attention to because I had that full time
Yeah.
job. So with that, I am very grateful and I'm very thankful that I can, creatively be who I am. But it did suck. It really did hurt to lose that
Oh, yeah.
position in society.
A lot of our peers that come to LA, you come with a purpose. You come with a dream, a goal in mind. It's usually something creative or in the
Mhm.
arts or performance. Unfortunately, when you're trying to work in those fields, the arts and entertainment, their schedules are not friendly to anyone with a full time job.
Mhm.
It is difficult to hold a good full time job and go to auditions and try to work the entertainment life.
Mhm.
It's a gig life. You got to go to auditions when they're available and you got to take the jobs when they're there. A lot of our peers end up just taking part-time jobs wherever they can. That's why you see the stereotype on TV, the waitress that's aspiring to be an actress, the guy that works at the fast food place that's trying to be a singer. That's because he needs a flexible job that he can just quit when he has to.
Mhm.
Then to bring it back to you, to have to give up a job that was at a decent shift to where you could get out and still go to an audition,
Yeah.
that sucks.
I was also 20 minutes outside of Los Angeles. So, like, commuting back and forth, if I had to dip out and do some kind of like audition or go out and to look for another like gig or whatever, I could have because I was right there.
Yeah. As for me, 2020 definitely destroyed my career field, not just my position per se. The entire industry I was in was wiped out. For those that don't know, I've had a career in live entertainment for the past 10 years. It's
Mhm.
what I've been doing. The company I work for, we do everything from boring ass corporate meetings all the way up to putting on award shows like the Grammys and major music awards and stuff like that. We have the potential to put on the Super Bowl if we wanted to.
Mhm.
Just depends on what clients we lock down and what jobs we get. Not only was my job eliminated, but the entire industry is dead. People say the restaurant industry was hit the hardest. No, the live entertainment industry. No, the live events industry was hit harder than everything else. It's going to be the last thing that comes back. Restaurants can still sell food to go. You can't have live events without people.
Mhm.
The billion-dollar company I worked for, 90% of the staff worldwide was put on furlough, which pretty much means we were laid off with a chance of getting our job back. But as of August, we got the email saying, you guys have been furloughed indefinitely. Pretty much means you no longer have a job. So stop holding your breath, go do something else.
Right.
Just like with you, Shana, I worked my way up from entry level to becoming management.
Mhm.
I was in charge of people, I had a team, and I had a dope ass schedule, which was pretty much come in whenever I wanted to
Mhm.
and leave whenever I wanted to. So it was perfect to hustle in LA and chase these auditions and do
Mhm.
all this extra stuff because I could modify my schedule.
Yeah.
I can even do my job remotely.
Mhm.
I had just got a promotion right before the pandemic hit to where I could have worked remotely from home. But no, the pandemic hit. And of course, that was devastating for me. I went to college for this. I went to
Mhm.
college to work in the entertainment world. It took a toll on me. Yeah, I was depressed. Those of you that contributed to the moving fund, y'all read the story. Y'all know. Long story short, it was a lot to take in. It's like I was working so hard to put myself through college, move out of state, move all the way to LA,
Mhm.
make it here, get a job with a company, and work my way up, offered to be taken away on some pandemic shit, you know? Y'all get the gist of the negatives. This pandemic did end up being a blessing in disguise. It did force me to dig down deep. It forced me to go back to the beginning of how I even came to where I am today. It made me remember how hard I can work to overcome anything. It's like, dude, you had less than this, but then you made it to here. Why can't you just start from here, get out of this hole, and do more and
Mhm.
do better? I guess it kind of reminded me who I am. This cycle of having a job that you were okay with,
Mhm.
a job that paid your bills, you kind of get stuck in that world. You kind of forget everything you're working for, especially when you live in a big city like LA, you're trying so hard to survive. You got to set this plateau for yourself. As long as I can pay my bills and eat good and enjoy some of my hobbies, I'm living good. Then you forget about what your real goals were. Our goals weren't just to survive.
Mm-hmm.
If we wanted to do that, we could have just lived somewhere cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
Out of all the bad stuff that's happened, it's forced me to really dig into my talent pool. All the things I want to do and all the things I can do, it's time for me to do them now. Because the one life lesson I've learned from this pandemic is if you're not in charge of your own world, like if you're not self-employed, for example, or you don't own your house, something like this can just take it all away from you. Shana and I were both working for another company. Just like that, they're like, we don't need you anymore. Doesn't matter how many years you've been here. Sorry, you're gone. And then you're just left helpless. A lot of people are getting evicted. It's not their fault that their jobs were just taken away. It made me think of how important having a house was. If it's your house, they can't kick you out of it. It's your damn house. It just put a lot of goals in perspective as well. I'm sure Shauna can agree that if 2020 taught you anything, that it's time to take life in your own hands.
Definitely. When one door closes, another one opens. And I stand true to that because, and I guess this pandemic has taught a lot of people that, not just me, but it really has shown me that when something's not working, when the world is closed, what do you do after that? What can you do after that? And there's so many things you can do, but there's always that thing in the back of your mind where when you have a goal in mind or you're doing something with your life and you think like, oh, well, I can't go and do what I really love because I'm doing something else.
Yeah.
So for the pandemic, at least for me, it's taught me that you still can do what you love to do. But then like, what if that one thing that you were doing, you can no longer do? So are you still going to not say that you're not going to do the thing that you actually are passionate about doing?
Mm-hmm.
And the pandemic just kind of gave me an outlet. It gave me a reason to push forward in what I'm really passionate about.
Yeah. I know a lot of you are thinking, well, that's easier said than done. But at the same time, a lot of people were just sitting on their ass collecting unemployment and collecting that extra $600 a week. If you have any kind of creative outlet in your body, that was a great time to make the most out of your free time. Yes, I understand that it's hard to create during these times, but was it any harder than you working 6 days a week, 50 hours a week and not having time versus you having all the time in the world, but just kind of lack that inspiration? I think it was harder when we had full-time jobs because then you just come home, you're frustrated, you're tired, you don't want to do shit.
And that's exactly what I meant when you just said, well, people will say, well, it's easier said than done to do these kinds of things. But that's what I meant earlier when I said, what happens when the pandemic took that away from you? You can't have that excuse anymore because you don't have your full-time job anymore. So what are you going to do to fill your time? And yeah, there's the excuse, well, I just don't feel like doing it because, you know, I lost my job or I lost this and that and I can't do things during the pandemic. But there's things that you've been putting off for years that you could never do before. And that's all I was saying. It's just like, yeah, it might be easier said than done pre-pandemic, but now it's like, what excuse do you have now?
It's been 10 months since the world shut down.
Mm-hmm.
And by now, I'm sorry, but some of y'all just got to start adjusting and start making the most of what it is.
Yeah.
Obviously, we all want the world to go back to normal, but it's not going to. You got to adapt. That's a part of life. You got to grow and adapt with what's going on. This is what's happening. These are the cards that are dealt. Time to do something about it. And honestly, from a creative standpoint, from an influencer standpoint, I haven't said this out loud publicly. Right now is the best time to try to be an influencer, to try to create and try to get your art out there. It's for the exact reason we spoke of. So many people are so down in the dumps that they've given up on any hopes and dreams. The pandemic has leveled the playing field. So many people that you told yourself you were in quote unquote competition with, they're not there anymore. When it comes to being a creative, it's really survival of the fittest. So many people have eliminated themselves for whatever reason. They can't create, they're not inspired, or in the sense of cosplay, they were just kind of like riding off the hope of getting noticed at a con.
Mm-hmm.
Since there's no more cons, there's no more photographers to make them look awesome. It's showing the truth. I'm sorry, but some cosplayers, y'all outfits don't look as good as you think. The photographer made you look awesome. Your cosplay wasn't that awesome. The photographer made you look like a badass. So I just wanted to say that to say, please respect your photographers out there because they make mediocre cosplays look amazing. So, anyways, that goes back to my thing. A lot of people depended on the hype of a con, depended on the illusion that a photographer created for them. Now that they're at home having to take their own selfies, they're seeing how good or bad they really are as a creative. So for the rest of y'all out there that have been complaining or upset that, oh, it's not fair, just the popular people get more popular. Well, right now, a lot of those same popular people have just given up. Their support team is not there. Their glam squad is not there. Some of these people who are just getting by because they were popular or they're hot, they're not getting by anymore because there's no one there to kiss their ass. So now the people that still have the heart for the art, it's their time to shine through. I'll say it one more time. I've never said this publicly, but this is the best time to be a creator. The playing field has been leveled. Everyone can start off almost on a fair playing ground just because so many people have given up.
So many cosplayers, unfortunately, have given up cosplay and picked up Twitch.
Yeah, that is
So
a
that's
great example.
A totally different playing ground than cosplay itself. So if you're hiding in the shadows because you don't think that you can be a cosplayer anymore or a cosplay influencer anymore, think again, because a lot of cosplayers that thought they were top shit in cosplay have mulled over and turned a new leaf to Twitch and live stream gaming and all that jazz. So those are two different things, by the way.
Yeah, that is a great point. We briefly spoke about that in the last podcast, but yeah, that is a great point. If you really look at your social media, just really look. Look at some of the cosplayers you followed or admired because they were like popular or you thought they were pro. You don't see them cosplaying anymore. They all jumped ship to Twitch. Why? Because it was the next easy thing to do. Now they can't take the easy route of just looking pretty at a con. They have to really show work at home. And unfortunately, a lot of people can't do that. A lot of people that want to be cosplay influencers don't have the will or the talent to make it happen. I'm sorry, but that's just the truth. I'm sure some people will sit there and argue, well, I make great cosplays, I just take shitty pictures. Well, that's true. You can be a great cosplayer, a great singer, a great whatever, but does that mean you have star quality? Does that mean you have what it takes to be that influencer? No, because half of that battle is the hustle. Some would argue that talent is only half the battle. The other half is your work ethics, your hustle. Would you agree, Shana?
Oh, yeah.
You may be talented in what you do, but if you don't have the heart to carry through with everything else that it takes to become a star, to make it, you just ain't gonna make it. I'm sorry. You have to be able to work hard to promote yourself and overcome those obstacles. Go back to the example I just said. You may have the talent to make your cosplay, but then there's no one to take your pictures. What's stopping you from taking some time out of your day to learn how to self-photograph? If that's the obstacle that's in your way, why won't you learn how to do it until it's not an obstacle anymore? It's like there was one point where you didn't know how to cut foam to make armor, but you took time to learn how to do that. Why won't you take time to learn a skill that you need to help you go further in your career? Like, that's the shit I'm talking about. That's what separates the people who are talented to the people who become stars.
To get the hang of Twitch myself, there was a lot that went into it. I had to sit there and look at what was what, and if you change this thing, this other thing's gonna change, and all that jazz. I was watching tutorials. I was on YouTube. I was looking up things. I was rage quitting because I'm not good at computers at all. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's not Microsoft Word, even that, I have fights with computers, physical fights. But like Twitch is a whole nother beast. And then once you figure that out, they go and change all of their protocols, all of their things, everything. Like now I have to sit here and relearn everything because y'all want to change your settings and things like that. It's a nightmare. So it's not something you can just hop on and just be great at it. Like, no.
Yeah, it took time to overcome,
Yeah.
but you took it step by step. You wanted your layout to look nice. So you Googled, how do I make my layout look nice? And then it told you, oh, you can use this service. Then you tried that service, and then it wasn't compatible with Twitch all of a sudden.
Oh, yeah. I've tried so many different programs to get my setup to look great. I had the same cheap ass, janky looking background for years until I finally sat down and found out what program was compatible with Twitch. I finally got transitions, okay? Where when you go on break and it says be right back and that kind of thing. I finally just figured that out. I just changed my whole background. Now when you look at my Twitch, it looks nice. But I had that same background just because I couldn't figure it out. It was hard.
But even back then, I'm sure when you started, just having that overlay was the shit.
Oh, yeah.
That said your name on it.
Yeah.
Because you came from a generation where you didn't even have an overlay. Then you started seeing other people with overlays. Like, how come their shit says their name? Because Twitch on the surface, you can just hit the stream button or whatnot, and it just shows you and your camera. It's up to you to make the layout look nice, but you don't know that until you start going into it.
I'm going to tell you how long I've personally been streaming. I've been streaming since before Twitch was a thing. And there was no layouts. There was nothing pretty about it. It was just, here's the setup. It wasn't until I found Twitch is when I started getting a little fancier.
But you saw other people doing it.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, I want my shit to look like that. And you overcame the obstacles by just taking time to learn one thing at a time. Anyway, it's like these are obstacles that a lot of you guys overcome, but you don't realize how much work you put towards it to overcome it. So to go back to my example about self-photography, if you could take the time to learn how to make your Twitch look like the professional streamers do, you can take the time to learn how to work a camera just good enough to where you can create content. You may not be the best photographer in the world, but you can create enough photos for your fans to like it. And that's all that matters. If you could take the time to learn that, you could take the time to learn this, or you could take the time to learn anything else you want to learn, or anything that's stopping you from doing anything. As cosplayers, a lot of us didn't know how to sew to begin with, but we learned, didn't we? We didn't know how to make armor, but we learned. We didn't know how to style wigs. Some of y'all still don't know how to style wigs because y'all be looking busted. Just joking.
Oh, my God.
I'm just serious. Anyways.
I'm just playing, but I'm saying.
At some point, not every skill is for everyone, and I get that. But still, you could still do what you can to move further along in your hustle to keep you afloat. And that's all I'm saying. Is there's a lot of our peers, cosplayers, people in the community or whatnot, who have just given up. If you're only used to getting content at cons and now there's no more cons and you're just going to give up cosplay, and I feel sorry for you because there's other things you could do to keep going. Anyways, y'all get what I'm saying. You can overcome a lot of things. You may not master a skill to your level that you want, but you can still do enough to where you can keep creating at the very least. That's still more than all the people that quit are doing. So you can give yourself that credit. At least you're trying. At the end of it all, you will have a resume. You'll have content. While everyone else that just gave up will have nothing except tears in a bucket. All right, so let's move forward to 2021. New Year's Eve, we didn't do anything. We were driving across country. We left LA on December 30th. And we ended up spending New Year's Eve right outside of Omaha, Nebraska. We stayed at a hotel in Council Bluffs, Iowa. Yep. When you think of New Year's Eve, you think of Iowa or Nebraska. That's where we ended up. Didn't do anything. We tried to order pizza from Domino's. Domino's said, screw you, we're closed. Even though they answered the phone and put me on hold and never came back. And they just left me on hold for like 5-10 minutes and I hung up.
But Papa John's, though, they came through with that stuffed crust, the cheesy stuffed crust.
I thought I was over stuffed crust in the 90s with Pizza Hut, but when Papa John's came through,
It was real cheese.
it was real
What you talking about
cheese.
with that Pizza Hut shit? Ain't
No.
nobody talk about no pizza. I'm
Nope.
sorry, I'm not a Pizza Hut fan. I've never been a Pizza Hut fan, only because every time I get Pizza Hut, it doesn't agree with me, and I start, spending more time on the toilet than I should.
I've never really liked Pizza Hut either, to be honest. I only used to eat there because during the Star Wars Episode 1
hmm
promotions, they had like free.
Oh yeah, they did.
Yeah, they had like free Pizza Hut coupons if
Mhm.
you like lucked out and bought the right like combo meal or something at Taco
Yeah.
Bell or KFC. And I kept getting it. I kept getting free large topping pizzas at Pizza Hut. So I kept eating it because I kept getting it for free. Anyways. Yeah, that's what pretty much was our New Year's Eve. Like I said earlier, one of my friends and his girlfriend flew out from Chicago to help us drive. We had like a social distance toast with them in the hotel. Just for those wondering and ready to talk shit, I booked us 2 separate hotel rooms. I know some of y'all are going to be like, well, you're supposed to be social distancing. Why are you sharing hotel rooms with your friends from out of state? No, bitch. That's why I booked 2 hotel rooms. I spent that money.
Word.
Not that I got money like that, but it was a necessary precaution so we don't get sick. Him and his girlfriend had their own room. We had our own room. Just for the sake of New Year's Eve, because they were so kindly enough to sacrifice their holiday
Mhm.
to come help us and drive 4 gruesome days on the road, I figured we could have one drink with them.
Mhm.
But we were able to social distance because I booked a big ass suite to where they could sit on one end of the room, like 3 beds away, and we could be at the other end. So we had like a little toast with them, kind of had a couple drinks and hung out, and then we left. You know,
Mhm.
that was really it.
Not that I ever really do much on New Year's Eve. Like, even myself personally, I never did anything because it's always a time when people want to get crazy. It's always a time when people want to start shooting up. Like, I know that that's like kind of a stereotype, or people think like, oh, that's not gonna happen to me, but you would be surprised, and that's why I stay my booty inside the house.
But these people have never lived in Chicago
yeah,
or Los Angeles.
yeah.
So those aren't stereotypes, especially in Chicago.
Oh yeah.
Mm-mm.
I'm good with all that, and that's another reason why I don't go out during Halloween if need be. Like, if I don't have to go out during holidays, I won't.
Mhm.
I won't, just because of those things. I grew up in the hood, so I am no stranger to those kinds of things. You can't sit there and tell me just because you live in a suburb that ain't nobody gonna feel frisky that night, or
Mhm.
even drive out purposely to that area and start causing a ruckus in your little quiet neighborhood. Nah, I'm not about that life, honey. So
Mhm.
I'm gonna stay my booty inside the house where it's safe.
I usually don't do a lot for New Year's Eve. I've never been one to celebrate the new year because I'm sorry if y'all believe in all the new year is going to change everything. I don't. I believe the only thing that's going to make your life better is you.
Or pre-pandemic, it was the fact that the clubs were expensive,
Yeah.
or there's like always something going on at some unknown destination that's always expensive.
That too. Plus, New Year's partying is so overrated. They just
Yeah.
charge you so much for nothing just because they know people are trying to celebrate.
hmm
That's also why I never participated
hmm
in that stuff. Like, all right, let's give an example everyone can relate to. Say Applebee's, a place you go to once or twice a month, to get half off appetizers and happy hour drinks, right? You know it ain't shit.
hmm
It's just regularly you can go get a cocktail at full price for $8-9, depending on the state you live in. But then Applebee's decides to have a New Year's Eve party. They decide they're gonna charge you $50 to get in.
hmm
It's freaking Applebee's. $50 to hang out at Applebee's?
hmm
No shade to Applebee's. I'm just using that for an example, but like you're gonna pay $50 just to get in a place that ain't that poppin', and then pay $15 a drink instead of the 8 or 9 you're used to. That's what a lot of clubs and bars do for New Year's Eve. That's why I don't really go to clubs and bars for New Year's Eve. Not to say that we haven't celebrated New Year's Eve. It's just It's never been a big deal to me personally.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of do it for the peer pressure effect of it. Just because if my friends want to hang out, then cool, I'll go hang out. But to me, I never believed, oh, new year, new me. The only thing that's going to make a new you is what you do with that year
Mm-hmm.
or that month or that week. You can change your life next week if you really wanted to make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
But not to say we haven't celebrated New Year's, because we've had some good and bad New Year's celebrations. You know, we've had some memorable moments. I still kind of feel bad about this. The first year that I was with Shana in Chicago, I decided to go to Florida with my best friend and have this like bros trip while Shauna stayed in Chicago to hang out with her best friend.
Yeah, I remember my best friend, my BFF from high school. She tried to come over. She tried to salvage the night, but I just remember us both having a terrible time.
Well, sorry about that. My BFF and I, we had a decent time. He came from Michigan to pick me up in Chicago, and we drove all the way to northern Florida. We went to the Panhandle around the Pensacola area. Little did we know, though that's the spring break capital of America, it's very mediocre when it's not spring break. Northern Florida, it might as well be lower Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know so many country folks was just out there in that part of Florida. But because it was off season, everything was so cheap. My friend, he's a pretty simple guy. He just likes to not be at work and get away from it all. He was very pleased that we were just in Florida, enjoying nice weather. Me, on the other hand, when I vacation, I'm a itinerary, you sticking to a schedule, we doing shit kind of guy. Since it was off season, there wasn't much to do.
Mm-hmm.
We went to a beach and there was nobody there. Of course, my dumb ass was wearing jeans at the beach. I don't like to swim.
Why?
I was at the beach in jeans, and my friend's like, why are we even here? You're wearing jeans, bro. He didn't want to be at the beach, but I'm just like, bro, we're on New Year's vacation. That's not even a thing. Like, New Year's vacation, like that doesn't have the same ring as spring break. But I was trying to make it more hype than it should have been. Just because I was trying to be like, yeah, New Year's, let's party, bro. There was no partying anywhere. We went to another bar. The bar was right next to our hotel. We were the only ones in there. I should have known when my friend picked it out. It was a dueling pianos bar. How hype can dueling pianos get?
Oh, God.
It's not like Beethoven was having a battle. Dun, 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 dun.
You should see my face. Like, if you guys aren't watching this on YouTube, you should definitely tune in and see my face and my facial reactions to this.
My cat's not
This
even
is
impressed.
bullshit.
Really? Dueling pianos? Yeah, we should have known the hotel was right next to this bar, and we are just like, it's a tourist trap. But it was right there. Like I said, my friend's very simple. He's like, oh, let's just go have a couple beers. And I'm just like, we're the only ones here besides the guy playing the piano. The bar featured dueling pianos, meaning two people dueling. But there was only one guy playing because it was off season, so they didn't even hire another guy to duel with him. I was thinking at least maybe the guy's gonna get up and go play the other piano, but he didn't. He just played one. So that was one of our first nights, quote unquote, out.
Dude's not out. Dude's not out. Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. Have you ever seen that movie Hall Pass? That first night where the guys get to go out without their wives and they go to Applebee's to pick up chicks? That's what I felt like in that moment. Like, yeah, I know where all the ladies are. I know where the hot spot is. Dueling pianos. Let's go. There was nobody there. And we just drank beers, and the bartender was like, y'all from out of state? What the hell you guys doing here?
Mm-hmm.
I think like the next night we checked out a museum of war, and I took a picture on top of a torpedo. That was the highlight of that day.
Well, I'm glad I wasn't there to spoil all your fun.
Our dude's night out.
Jeez.
What are some of the other highlights? Oh, I went to my head's itchy.
Finish scratching your head.
I'm
please.
sorry. It's been a long time since I've got to wear my beanies and stuff. Now that I'm in the Midwest, it's cold again. I can keep my bald head warm, but now my head's itchy. I don't know how I used to wear this during the hot times. Like when I was younger, I used to rock a beanie all year just because I try to be rebellious against the seasons and screw fashion trends. And now my head's just itchy. But anyways,
In a whoozin'.
so this other day, I wanted to meet up with one of my friends. She recommended this restaurant. It was kind of like a touristy restaurant. It was kind of like a pub, sports bar kind of thing. The food sucked, but the entertaining part of it was right next door to this really ratchet ass strip club. Like right next door, they shared the same parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
Right outside our window, you could see a drunk stripper walk out of the club and pee in the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
Squat down and pee. Not like there was an outhouse or a bathroom there. Gotta love lower Alabama. Throughout our dinner, we kept seeing more people just in the parking lot, just pissing in the parking lot. And then the grand finale was New Year's Eve. So we go to this club, the hottest club in that area. And there was some pros and cons. For those that don't remember, I had long hair at the time. A couple people mistaked me for the dude from Black Eyed Peas. What was his name? Taboo. If you're not familiar with Black Eyed Peas, there's will.i.am, there's the Filipino guy, and then there's the other guy that is half Native American, half Mexican. A bunch of people at the club thought I was him. Dude, are you from Black Eyed Peas? I'm like, I sure am. So I was trying to ride off that hype. It had its fun. My friend was dancing with some girl that was at least 15 years older than him, but his drunk goggles didn't let him see how old she was, and he was about to go home with her, and he tosses me the key, and he's like, dude, I'll see you tomorrow, bro. And I'm like, I don't think he knows, but whatever. I'm not going to judge his taste in women. But then when he left me, I had a couple dudes mistake me for a woman, and they were just grinding the shit out of me. And that was the first time I had a bunch of boners to my booty. And now I know why girls don't like going to clubs.
Long story short.
Long story short, I was like, I will never dance with a woman at a club unsolicited ever again. And I'm like, I am sorry you ladies have to go through random boners on your booty, but I was violated by multiple men who thought I was a woman because I had hair down to my shoulders. And that's how I ended my New Year's Eve in Florida. And then we got back in the car the next day, drove 14 hours back to Chicago, and we also hit a blizzard. You may have had a shitty time with your friend, but I think because of everything I put forward, I had a shittier time than you did. And you didn't have random boners on your booty. And to think people thought I was a dude from Black Eyed Peas and they still did that to me? Damn you, Florida.
Well, because you were there.
No boundaries.
You were open for business.
Open for business. That sounds so dirty.
Well, that's how people think, and that's how people treat you. So
yeah,
it is what it is, you know?
I shouldn't have expected any less from an ultra nightclub that just allowed dudes and wife beaters and sneakers in there. Because clubs are supposed to have super dress codes. We paid like $30 to go in that night. Bullshit. But it did have all you can drink, though, for $30. But, of course, in club fashion, the drinks are watered down. Let me throw it to Shana, and she could tell you guys about our first actual New Year's Eve party when we moved to L.A.
So I had heard working that Hollywood Boulevard or anywhere in the Hollywood area, that's the place to go. Clubs were jumping. Clubs were like popular out there. It was always a good time. You can always find a club, no matter the price, no matter where it was. You could always find a club down there on that strip. And then during, New Year's Eve, clubs are always charging an arm and a leg just to go and celebrate, or any kind of like hole in the walls, always charging up the ass for no reason. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, you know what? We'll find something. There's always a bar or a club that's always promoting cheap drinks or cheap cover, whatever it is on these holidays. And I'm like, we'll find something. We'll just get off, me, you, and a friend of ours. And I'm like, you know what? I got you. We're going to go down to Hollywood. We're going to find something. We're just going to have a ball. Like, no matter where we go in Hollywood, we will find something. So that's what we did. We ended up walking down, I want to say Hollywood Boulevard, but I also want to say it was like in the La Cahuenga area too as well.
I remember we pre-gamed, got in the lift, and just told them, drop us off at the street where all the parties are happening.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't remember what street that was.
I don't remember. I just remember it was Hollywood because I've been down there before. I've seen the clubs. I've seen things like that. During this time, people weren't like all on the street like they usually are. They're kind of like reserved, and it was still a good time. We were walking down the street and we saw club after club, bar after bar, promoting $5 shots, $2 shots, $5 drinks, $2 drinks, whatever it was. Everybody was trying to get a piece of the action.
Quick note, and that is super cheap and unheard of for LA and
yeah.
Hollywood. Beers, if you wanted like a Blue Moon, like a craft beer or some crap, those start at $7-8 a pint. Mixed drinks, if you want a martini or a margarita, you can pay at least $13.
Oh yeah. So with stuff like that, I even saw like $5 margaritas. I'm like, oh yeah, run that. Let me go in there real quick.
Yeah.
Even if I don't stay, I just want like that $5 margarita. And there's a reason why we also pre-gamed before we got there, because we didn't know what we're gonna find. So we found this one club. It was kind of like a really big bar that they kind of converted, like took all the seats out of the area.
Yeah, they moved all the tables around.
Yeah, they moved the tables around, and it became a club. It became whatever you wanted it to be. And it was pretty standard. It wasn't anything too crazy. The thing that drew us in was that they were promoting cheap drinks. So we go in, we hear the music playing outside the bar. We're like, okay, this is good. This is good. We can like dance. Everybody can have a good time, because it's not like, you know, they're not just playing 80s music, or they're not just playing rock music or whatever. We go to this place. You know, I'm wearing my finest. I'm coming dressed to the T. I'm wearing my little dress. I never wear heels, because you know, like as soon as you put those heels on, you're walking around. Like I had the mindset that we were gonna be walking around for a while, so I wore gym shoes. So I wore color coordinating gym shoes with my outfit. But you were wearing a closet cosplay, so to say, like, and then you were wearing. Actually, I'm gonna let you tell what she was wearing.
Well, during this time, Final Fantasy 15 had just come out. I had just finished my Prompto cosplay. For those that don't know, he's the blonde boy in Final Fantasy 15. I wanted to rock blonde hair that night, so I put on my Prompto wig. We did my eyebrows all blonde, but I wanted to still dress up for the club dress code, so I put on a button-up shirt, had a tie and some slacks on. Girls can get away wearing whatever they want at these clubs, but guys can't, so I wanted to make sure I dressed up.
We were all having a good time. We were getting drinks. We were dancing. A lot of people in Los Angeles, if you guys don't know, even at a club, even at like a cheap bar or whatever, if there's music playing, a lot of people do not dance. They will not participate in anything that's going on. They want to be all cool and reserved and whatnot. I'm just like, dude, it's a holiday. Get out there and dance. You're drinking these cheap ass drinks. Do something. You're just sitting there on like a bump on a wall.
Well, a lot of these people are stiff. A lot of these people are just, for lack of better words, trust fund babies. They try to be up in the scene. Their parents got money, so now they got money. So they just trying to show up and be socialized. They trying to be cool, but they ain't got no swag. So when the music comes on and when it's time to vibe, they don't know what to do. So they just at the bar ordering drinks the whole time.
So there was a lot of that. People just sitting around. My group was dancing. Okay, when we go out, we go out. Okay, we will show out. We will start just having a good time. Like, for lack of better words, like we're not doing anything like over the top or anything like that.
Oh, we had a great time.
We had a great time.
No, hold on. Let me interrupt, Shana. We got lit. It started great, and then it got greaterist. Okay,
Greaterist.
That's the kind of English that we had by the end of the night. We got greaterish because remember the drink prices I told you? This place had some premium tequila. At a regular club in LA, you can get a shot of Patron for $12. Just a shot. 12, $15. This place was selling shots of De Leon and Patron for $6.
Oh, yeah.
Shana and I were like, run that. $6 shots? That was cheaper than what we were paying in the Midwest. $6 for a shot of this Patron or De Leon. We took advantage of that. So anyways, we got litty lit and felt greaterist.
Things got a little interesting. You know, our mutual friend was single, and he was trying to find a girl, as per usual. I'm always someone's wingman. I will always step in and be someone's wingman. Like, I am that one, okay? So if you hurting for a mate, if you trying to find some girl to hook up with, I got you, okay? I'm that one. So I was doing that for our friend, and I mistakenly was trying to hook him up with someone who's already taken.
Mm-hmm.
She was a lesbian. I didn't know. And like she was with her girl. And then her girl came up to me and was all mad and was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know. You left your girl out here dancing by herself. So I just thought that she was by herself. Then I tried to hook him up with somebody else and that didn't work out. So then we just go back to partying amongst ourselves. We're just minding our own business. And then some guy from out of nowhere, I didn't even see him in the club. He had come from the back somewhere. He comes down onto the dance floor where we were and just shoves Renji full force for no reason. Like the dance floor wasn't crowded or anything. Nobody was on the floor. It was just me and my group on one side and everyone like else in the other corner. But it's not like Renji was in his way or anything like that. This guy just came out of nowhere and just like with all his might just shoves him out of the way. And I'm like, what was that about?
It was shortly after midnight.
Mm-hmm.
The ball just dropped. Everyone said Happy New Year's. People were giving New Year's kisses. Most of the people left the bar after that. It was like 12:10 or something. 90% of the bar was emptied out. I'm just dancing, minding my business. Our friend that was with us, he's kind of like a Chris Brown looking dude, and he does all the Chris Brown dance moves, so he likes to play off of that, so the girls think he's Chris Brown. So, like, we're just kind of having like a little bootleg, little dance battle. Like, I'll do a little something, and he doing a little something. And we're not in anyone's way. Mind you, the bar is empty at this point. This dude comes out the bathroom and he can clearly get around me. There's at least 3 to 4 feet around me. This dude decides to come straight up to me and shove me to where I almost fell down the steps. Of course, I'm a react. By this time, he's at the bar next to his buddies acting all tough and he's flipping me off. And then my boy, Chris Brown, is like, yo, did that dude just shove you? I'm like, yeah. And then Shana comes over. Yo, what's going on? Shauna's already in fight mode. He notices that we're looking at him, and now his friends are flipping us off while we coming up with a game plan.
I go downstairs because downstairs was where the bar was and everything. I go straight up to the bar and I'm like, I was just like pulling all the stuff. I'm like, your patrons here are being racist and being mean and being this and that, whatever. I was just pulling everything. I'm just like, you know what? Fuck these guys. I'm gonna get them in trouble somehow. Bar owner comes out because he's hearing me like explain this to the bartender. He had seen what had happened because he was outside the whole time, like watching. He comes over to me and is like, what's going on? I explain it. I'm like, these people over here. And I made sure that they saw me pointing at them because they were like down by the bar too. I'm like, these people over here are being mean. They're being rude. They just shoved my friend for no reason. What are you going to do about it? Then he's like, oh, well, bring your friends over here and we can all take a drink. Don't let it bother you. Don't let these people bother you, whatever. Mind you, these people were hurting to get patrons inside the bar.
Yeah.
They were hurting to get customers in the first place. So, like, they're just not trying to, like, hear it. They're like, whatever, yeah, I saw it, but, like, I don't care kind of thing. It's like, let's just take shots and shots on us. Like, you can have whatever you want and we'll pay for it. I'm like, that's not good enough. Like, me in the back of my mind, I'm just at the bar just, like, ready to tussle. I'm ready to fight. I'm like cracking my knuckles. I'm like, if you don't get this boy right here, if you don't get them, I'm gonna swing. He's like, no, don't do that. Calm down. We'll just get drinks. We'll be fine.
Shauna's at the bar trying to talk her shit. I'm still up on the level with my friend trying to prep him about what's about to go down. My friend's from San Diego. Let's be honest, he ain't about that fight or flight life. He more about to call his lawyer to come settle this situation. He's kind of a spoiled boy from San Diego. He ain't never fought no one in his life. I'm like, look, obviously there's 3 guys and 2 girls. There's 2 guys and 1 girl here. So they have the advantage. It's 5 against 3. To make this fight work, we're going to have to preemptively strike them. He's like, wait, what? Like, he's freaking out. He wasn't ready to fight tonight. Shana and I were ready to fight because we about that life. So I was just trying to prep him. We were standing at a table with 7 or 8 empty drink glasses. I'm like, here's how it's going to work. We got to start by giving them a volley. Think about Lord of the Rings when they shot the arrows at the orcs. We're going to throw these cups. And then as these cups are flying through the air, we're going to rush down there, or we can jump from here because we can make this jump. He's like, wait, what? Wait, we throwing cups and jumping off tables? I'm like, dude, these 3 white boys are bigger than us. They look corn-fed, and they look like they from out of town. So physically, we have the disadvantage. But if we attack them first, they're not going to expect drinks and cups flying from the air because they'll be too in shock. And when the drinks hit, that's when we rush him. Bless his heart. My friend was like crapping his pants. Like, I don't want to throw drinks. Shauna's ready in position. So she good. So they didn't want to expect her. They're going to be looking at us while we rush them. When the drinks hit, the girls in his group won't even know what to do because they'll be like, oh my God, did they just throw drinks and cups at us? And the guys are going to be like, oh, babe, are you okay? It's just a drink. And while they comforting each other, that's when we get them. And then Shauna's going to sneak in there and bust their ass. My friend was not about that life. He was just crying. But while Shauna was doing her thing and we were discussing, one of them came up to us and tried to make peace. I see you guys got that crazy look in your eye. I know my friend just pushed you. Dude, let's just let it go. We can all have a round of drinks. He's like, I'll buy the drinks. There's no need for us to start the New Year's off fighting. And part of me wanted to be cool. At least his friend came and apologized. But I was like, no, you know what? It's cool that you want to make peace, but you didn't shove me. Your friend did. So this dude's talking to me, offering to buy us all drinks, but then he tried to slip in there that, oh, you don't want to mess with my friend. He's crazy. Is he? Oh, he's so crazy. That's why he's hiding at the bar next to you guys. But then he kept trying to intimidate us. So that's why I'm just like, you know what? Tell your friend if he wants to be a little bitch and hang at the bar, he can. But if he's so crazy, me and that girl over there, we from Chicago. We ain't afraid of you Hollywood white boys living off your parents' money. So if y'all want to go, let's go. There's 5 of you and 3 of us. Let's go right now. So then he's like, oh, well, if that's what you want. And then he makes it his way down.
So I'm following this guy down. They're already at the bar. The guy that shoved Renji was the one that I was going for. I had blood in my eyes. I'm like, so what's your problem? I go straight up to him. I didn't even care what dude was trying to say. I went straight up to the dude who started shit. I'm like, what's your problem? Why'd you shove my friend? He's like, oh no, I have no problem with you because you're gorgeous, you're beautiful, and I don't have any problem with you personally, but your friend, I don't like your friend. And I'm like, you don't know us. You didn't say anything to us. All you did was come up behind us and push my friend. He's just like, yeah, whatever. And just doing one of these ha ha hee hee kind of moments. I'm like, I got your ha ha in my purse right here. Make the wrong move and we gonna have something to say. So him and his group make their way out of the club. They're walking out. And as they're walking out, I'm right behind them. And our mutual friend who didn't want to fight in the first place was like, he saw me heading out the door. He's like, oh no, Shauna's gonna do something. He already saw it in my eyes. Like you could see it. Like I was livid. I was ready to fight. I've always wanted my love and hip hop moment where I just want to like throw it down real quick, just a couple like bops in the face. That's all I want to do, and it'll be out of my system. I'm following these people out. I didn't even make it all the way outside. My fists were like trying. It was like a slow motion movie moment. As my fist was like trying to turn backwards, I feel a big old bear hug behind me, and I'm being carried away. As I'm like trying to pull one out like that, I'm being whisked away in a fucking bear hug, and our mutual friend was like he was really not trying to have it. So he's like whisking me away back inside the club, and he's like, Shana, you need to calm down, you need to stop. I'm like, no, let me at him, let me do it. And like people at the bar were like, girl, it's okay, like let's just take shots, let's just be kumbaya. I'm like, I don't want no goddamn kumbaya. I'm like trying to like punch. I'm like still like my legs are dangling in the air, and my friend's still like bear hugging me from behind. I was about that life. I wanted to do it so bad, but because my friend didn't want any conflict, he just made me let it go. I had no choice in the matter. He made me let it go.
You would think that'd be the end of it, right? So after that, we all just make a decision to walk out the bar. The bar's dead. We're done. So we're posted like not even a block away. We just walked out the bar, went probably like 2 businesses down.
Yeah.
And we were in a group huddle like, all right, it's after midnight. what do we do now? Like, y'all want to call it a night and go home? But we was already super lit. Like, nah, let's not end the night with these corny ass white boys and stuff. Let's not be all angry about that. As we sit there talking, we notice that same group is right next to the door still.
Mm-hmm.
And they go back in. We're all talking about the situation. And then we tell Shana about the private conversation we had with dude's friend. And Shana, being super lit, was like, oh, he wanted to make peace, but yet he wanted to threaten us one last time? Oh, screw that. So Shana just goes on fight mode. Next thing we know, Shana storms her way back towards the bar.
So as I'm making my way back towards the bar, our friend once again bear hugs me from behind. It's like, no, Shana, no, I'm not letting you go over there. I'm like, I can see them. They're by the door. If you just let me go, I will just get it done and over with.
I'm sitting there like, let her go, bro. Let her go. I'm like, I kind of want to see Shana fight. I know Shana from the hood, but I've never seen her fight. He's like, Renji, you shouldn't want Shana to fight. I'm like, I'm kind of interested, bro. Mind you, super drunk at this point. He's like, let her go, bro. Shana's like, let me go. And he's like, no, we're not going to fight.
I didn't even know this guy had that much strength because I'm just throttling. I'm just like all fists and all feet. Like I was like literally having a Love and Hip Hop moment because the security was like trying to drag me off set. I was about it. I wanted to fight them so hard. I wanted to just give them something to remember me by.
Oh yeah, like they can't just go around pushing people like that.
Nah.
But to top it off with the justice, I guess, the karma, the instant karma, as Shana finally calms down, we see them walking towards us. We all lock eyes, but one of the girls was just like, let it go. Let's just go home. Just let it go.
Mm-hmm.
So the guy's looking at us, and we can tell he's holding in his anger.
Mm-hmm.
And also, as they were making our way towards us, we noticed that the bar security was like, y'all gotta go. Y'all gotta go. Because apparently they tried to get back in the bar, but the bar was done with them.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, they're walking past us. And he's trying to like mean mug us one last time. And Shauna's holding her ground and I'm holding my ground. And my San Diego buddy's just being a little bitch because he's from San Diego. But sorry. No offense to San Diego people. But he makes it probably 20 feet past us. And you can tell how belligerent and drunk he was. A group of officers walked past him, 2 men and 1 woman. The woman was just being a polite officer. She's like, hey, Happy New Year. Are you guys okay? And this dude decided to take his anger out on the woman, the lady officer. What the fuck's your problem? Yeah, I'm okay. And then she's like, whoa. Just calm down. Just making sure everyone's okay. Making sure y'all didn't drink too much. Making sure everyone gets home safely. I can drink as much as I want. And he just started getting in her face. And then she threatened him. Sir, step back. Get out of my face.
Mm-hmm.
This dude decided to shove her. And as soon as he shoved that woman, that officer, mind you, LAPD don't mess around, for all they don't know. You will get a plunger up your ass that night. Anyways, he shoves her. The 2 male officers instantly grab him, throw his ass against the solid brick wall, and you know his face started bleeding after that. And they just started beating his ass and putting handcuffs on him. And then you could hear the girl scream, let him go. Billy didn't do anything. Oh, my God. Let him go. And she's just screaming. And the other dudes in the group were like, nope, I don't want none of that.
Right.
Let's just call him Billy. He got his face on the cement now with a knee in his back and a billy club to his face. LAPD don't fuck around.
They might not care if you're speeding, but they care if you get in one of their faces.
So he's getting handled, and now Shana and I are just like,
It was out of a movie moment. Like, our Uber had just pulled up at that point. So as we're in the back of our Uber, dude is getting forced in the back of a PD vehicle, and I'm like, yeah. It was slow motion. As I'm going like this, dude's like,
yeah.
like shaking his head and crying.
If you can think about Home Alone when Harry and Marv got loaded in the cop car and they drove past and Kevin got to see them, that's what it was.
Yeah.
And when you hear like these old cop shows talk about the paddy wagon, this dude was literally being loaded into a wagon or a van. Like they didn't bust out regular cop cars because it was New Year's Eve. They busted out the van. This dude was getting loaded in, looking at Shana, I believe. Yeah, Shana had the window seat, and he was looking right at her, just like Marv and Harry looked at Kevin in Home Alone. And it was in slow motion because we were stuck at a light. Great way to end the night. I never thought I would get in a fight wearing a cosplay wig.
Or getting fight because you were wearing a cosplay wig. I feel like that was the reason. I feel like he just didn't like the fact that you were trying to have fun with your outfit, and because that was really the only thing that he could have had against you.
Yeah, that goes back to what we're saying about how everyone was stiff. A lot of people that go to clubs, despite the image of being a club, so many people are there, but they're insecure. They saw that we were having a great time. They couldn't handle it. And then to see this guy with this ridiculous blonde wig on, he just lost his shit for whatever reason. All right, with that said, let's wrap this video up. As always, make sure you follow us on the social medias of all kinds. The list just keeps growing more and more as we find new stuff to be on. We'll just post a link below. It may be a link tree. It may be something. You just click it and you see everything we doing. So if y'all want to support us, support the channel, you can support it that way. You can either watch a live stream on Twitch, send us some cheers, hit the subscribe button, or you can go on OnlyFans and unlock a set. Everything you do on our personal stuff, it helps this podcast grow. Or if you just want to support us and not spend any money, you can quickly just hit the share button. This podcast is available on YouTube. It's available on all streaming platforms for those that just want the audio version. You don't have to waste your data watching this on YouTube. You can just listen to us on Spotify. You can download it all for free. So if you want to support us that way, just tell your friends about us. We get so many compliments like, y'all the realest cosplay nerd podcast out there. We like how y'all keep it real and y'all balance out nerd life and real life. Well, tell that to your friends. We know that. Tell your friends that. And Shinobi Squad merch will be coming soon. We trying to work with a couple artists. We trying to design some stuff. So that could be another way you support us. Shana and I just moved across country. We on full artist mode right now. So our only source of income is through things like this and the links we're going to share below. So if y'all want to keep hearing this stuff on a regular basis, y'all got to support us so we can do this. Or else we're going to have to go back to working some bullshit to pay some bills until we figure it out again. You got anything to say, Shana?
Nope.
All right. So with that said, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Shinobi Squad Podcast. I'm fan service Renji.
Shana Mostella.
We'll see you guys next week.